If you happen to have a small towel or anything that resembles a ball, this is sort of like a hard lacrosse type ball, or these spiky balls sometimes show up in Pilates or yoga classes. If you have any kind of a bouncy ball, a rubber ball that's this size or smaller, go and grab it because we'll use it for some foot massage. Because today's practice is all focused on the feet, ankles, calves, shins, and we're going to integrate that, of course, into our usual full body practice. So if you've got one of those balls, you're going to put it underneath your foot and just start to move back and forth. So I'm starting by going back and forth across the ball of the foot, kind of where the arch is. See if you can press and get that little self foot massage. And then once you've gone back and forth a few times, you can try going forward and back. And I would start on the inside part of the foot where the arch is, and then go all the way back towards the heel. Bring it back up towards the arch, move over, go all the way back towards the heel. Bring it back. So you're moving across the foot in your forward and back motion. Eventually you get to the outside of the foot and go forward and back. And then of course play with it. If you can get to your toes, try that. If you can get more onto your heel, try that. What feels good to you? And then move it on over to the other foot and we'll go again. So underneath the arch, ball of the foot, go back and forth. Notice if one foot feels any different than the other. And then same thing, we're gonna go forward and back, starting at the inside of the foot, rolling the ball towards the heel, then rolling back towards the arch. And then moving the ball over just ever so slightly, rolling towards the heel, and back, etc. And play with it a bit on this side. What feels good to you? Excellent. All right, you can put the balls aside. And your choice, whether you'd like to start sitting or standing. Sitting on a chair is always fine too. Find a way to find your base. If you're sitting, you're anchoring your sit bones to the floor. If you're standing, you're anchoring your feet to the floor. Just gonna add lights here. And lengthen your spine. Feel that little bit of contraction in your core, your spine growing tall all the way through the crown of your head. Arms are long, either the back of the wrists resting on knees or hands flat beside you. Close your eyes and take a couple of breaths. Be in and out through the nose if that's comfortable for you. And as you breathe, pay a little bit of attention to your feet and ankles. What do you notice there? How do your feet feel after that little bit of pressure we put on them at the start? How do the ankles feel in whatever position you have them in right now? Good. And we'll use the 3-3-9 breath. 3 counts to breathe in, 3 counts to hold full of air, 9 counts to breathe out as we go through our opening sequence. Take your thumb into your hand. Inhale for 3 as you raise your arms. Hold full of air for 3 counts. And then breathe out through the mouth. Little ooh-shaped mouth for 9 counts. Put your hands together and let's do it again. 3-3-9 breath. Hands up and then behind or in front of the head. Same breathing. Full extension as you breathe in. Hold for 3. And slow hands to heart, breathing out for 9. And a breath at the heart. Good. Extend your arms again. And let's lift one ear. Getting into a neck stretch here. If you like working with the chakras, then I invite you to bring your attention to your root chakra for your 3-3-9 breath. To the other side when you feel ready. And let's do each side again. So we get more time to release the neck area. We hold so much in the neck. Use the breath to just let it go. And to the other side. Once you've brought your head back to center, we'll take the head side to side, finding a spot on the side wall. And again, a 3-3-9 breath. This time, if you wish, you can focus in the sacral or low abdomen chakra. Over to the other side when you're ready. Once you're back at center, drop your chin toward your chest. And here, take your 3-3-9 breath. This time focused at the solar plexus, this big area at the ribs. Walk your eyes across the floor, up the opposite wall, across the ceiling, and then open your mouth to breathe. Walk the eyes back until the chin is again on the chest. And let your head float forward. So I believe a lawnmower or some kind of outdoor power tool has just started up outside my house. I'm hoping you're not hearing that. I'm hoping Zoom is controlling that background noise. But if anyone is having difficulty hearing, then please take yourself off mute and let me know, and we'll see what we can do about it. Might have to have words with the neighbors. If you're sitting, hold your arm across your lap or rest it there. Bring the other arm up to the ear. If you're standing, the down arm can just dangle. And let's breathe in as you reach up and get an extension here through the ribs and shoulder, armpit area. And then go a little bit more over and use the 3-3-9 breath. Back to center and change sides. Other arm up, start the extension up towards the sky. And when you're ready, 3-3-9 breath, taking it a little more into a side bend. Excellent. Take one arm out in front of you, the other arm off to the side. Drop your shoulders way down. Look past your fingers and take a little twist towards the back for 3-3-9 breath as you keep dropping your shoulders down. Same thing on the other side. If you'd like to have a chakra, focus your attention at the heart. And an eagle pose, either sitting or standing, wrapping one arm around the other, or alternately just holding up one arm using the other. Pull your elbows away from your chest. And let's use a 3-3-9 breath, focused in the throat chakra. Change sides. Pull the elbows away from your chest. Notice how your shoulders feel on this side. And breathe. Release the arms and bring them behind you. Interlace your fingers as you pull your wrists apart from each other. Your elbows will straighten. Start to lift those arms up and away from the body. Beautiful big open hearts here. And if you can, focus in the third eye chakra. Release the arms. Give yourself a hug. Keep the shoulders low and just breathe normally now into your low back. Other arm on top. Excellent. Grab a sip of water and we'll move to standing. So I want you to pay attention as you stand to the positioning of your feet. So we always position our feet hip width apart, so I invite you to do that like we usually would. But take a moment to notice, where is the weight on your feet? Do you focus your weight a little more on the inside of the feet? More on the toes or the heels? Do you feel more weighted one side or the other? And then actively, we're going to try and change the positioning of the foot. So without moving the feet at all, I invite you to try and put a little more weight on the outside of the feet. So rather than the inside instep or arch, we're putting more weight on the outside edges of the foot. Then see if you can equalize the amount of weight you have on the front of the foot, the toes, and the heels. Play with that a little bit. Sway forward, sway back, and then see if you can find an equal spot. Keep your knees just gently bent. Good. Now, in addition, see if you can become aware of the four corners of each foot. So sometimes we've talked about it. The exercise I did once at a yoga retreat was to actually tape 4 buttons onto the areas of the foot so that you were standing on these buttons and it was very clear where the pressure points were. We're just going to imagine those buttons in the 4 corners of each foot. So 2 on the edges of your heel and 2 across the ball of the foot. Imagine the 4 corners of each foot as you stand a little taller, right up through the crown. Drop the shoulders a little. And then keep your focus on the feet as you start shoulder rotation. Just some shoulder rolls around to the back. Breathe normally. And then change directions around to the front, but keep your attention focused on your feet. Good. Around to the back one more time so you can drop those shoulders way down. You're standing tall here in mountain pose for one big breath. Then keep the focus on your feet as you go into forward release. So we're tucking chin towards chest and taking a breath. And rolling down one vertebra at a time, but keeping our attention at our feet. Let your breath help out. Go slowly with awareness. If you like, hold each hand at the elbow and dangle yourself down. It's optional to straighten one leg for a breath. And bend that one and straighten the other leg. Keep noticing the toes, keep noticing the four corners of the feet. And then really connect the feet to the floor. Contract your core a little bit and start to rise. Again, rising with awareness, taking your time. Eventually, your head will be the last part of you to float forward. Good, and we'll equalize that by making gentle fists and take the flat side into the low back with each fist. Bring the elbows towards each other and walk the eyes up. Open your mouth to breathe. Walk the eyes back and shake out the arms. Good, so you know your own body and you know how that forward release felt in your back. If it felt okay, then I invite you to do it again, but this time with one leg crossed over the other leg. So crossing your feet, one over the other. Then we'll go into forward release. Now this becomes a bit of a balance challenge. So just be aware, you might feel a bit wobbly. You might need to grab onto the ground, or if you have a chair in front of you, you can do it that way. So it's more important to anchor the four corners of each foot because we're going to need those for balance. So four corners of each foot anchored, tip your chin towards your chest and take a breath. And then head on down with this one leg crossed over the other. See if you can keep both knees just a little bit bent. And notice where you feel this. Maybe it'll show up a little differently in your legs. Re-engage four corners of each foot. Contract your core and start to rise. Good. Eventually when you're up, uncross your legs to come back to normal stance. Open your arms up towards the sky. Contract your core for just a little back bend. Gazing upwards. Arms reaching back. Breathe. And then bring the hands back to forward. Good. Cross the leg the other way. Whatever leg you didn't cross last time is now the one that crosses. Take a big breath, standing tall. Anchor the four corners of each foot. Drop chin to chest and roll down slowly. Keep your knees just gently bent. And it's okay to touch your fingers to the floor if you get that far. They can help with balance. Again, anchor the four corners of each foot, contract your core, and start to rise. Again, come to standing, raise the arms up tall, take a breath in as you contract your core and a little back bend. And bring it back to center. Excellent. Take a step forward. Front knee bent, back leg mostly straight. All your hips are pointed forward. And that's easiest to do if you can make all your toes point forward. Again, anchor your feet. Really feel their contact with the floor. And take your opposite arm as your forward knee and give it a bend. Give a little push to that elbow. And we'll hold here for 3 big breaths. If you press your back heel into the floor, you should feel a little more stretch in your calf. And open up the arms, elbows wide, fingers spread, and drop your shoulders down for 3 breaths. Bring the arms back and change legs. The other foot forward. Your feet are still anchoring you. Front knee bent, back leg straight, other arm bends. Give a press on the elbow and 3 big breaths. Press that back heel into the floor. Open the elbows wide, shoulders low, fingers spread, and breathe. Imagine your shoulder blades melting down your back as you hold. Good, bring it all back. Shake out your legs and grab a little sip of water. Excellent. We'll go into a little bit of a flow here, moving from one pose to the other in a sequence you'll recognize. Throughout, we're going to be really aware of the connection between your foot and the floor. So we're pointing one foot towards the short end of your mat, spreading the feet out in whatever distance apart feels right to you. The other foot is at a 45-degree angle, and we're bending the knee. Feeling the openness of that hip, seeing if you can open up the other hip as well. And anchoring the 4 corners of both feet. Lift the arms, drop the shoulders. Look past your fingers for 3 big breaths. Stay focused on the foot connection to ground. Let's do the little tip where we end up resting on our leg. Bring the free arm to reach past your ear as long as you can get from the far foot and toes through to the tops of your fingers. And breathe. Then stretch the top arm skyward. If your back is strong and well today, you can open up the bottom arm towards the floor. And be a long line from your down hand all the way to your top hand. Open through your heart as you breathe. Take the top hand and swish past your face until both hands land beside the front foot. Turn all your toes to point forward and hold here for 3 breaths. Feel broad across the back of the shoulder blades. We're bringing the back knee down. If you need to put a little cushion under there, go ahead. You can fold your mat, put a pair of socks, anything you need. Point the back toes. And scoot the front toes forward as much as you need to so that you've got the angle that you want to have in your inner thighs and groin. And hold here for 3 releasing breaths. Maybe noticing the top of the foot. So the back foot has the toes pointed so that you're resting with the top of the foot against the floor. Take a moment to notice that sensation. And walk your hands back as you straighten out the front leg. Find where you need to be so that your hip bones are equally forward. And we are going to hang out here for a couple of breaths. And we're going to notice the stretch that takes place in the shins, the ankles, the calves, as you point your toes towards the mat. Notice what you feel there for a breath. And then flex the foot and notice what you feel now. Do it again. Point the toes and notice. And flex the foot. Excellent. We're going to return to standing to do the other side. I do that by coming to hands and knees and pushing myself into a squatting position and standing from there. Let's go the other way. So the other foot now aims towards the short end of the mat. That's the knee that's bending. Other foot 45 degrees. Opening up both hips as open as they can be. Deciding how much bend you want in your knee and letting your arms float up with shoulders low. Now re-find the 4 corners of each foot for 3 breaths. Excellent. Let's take that little tip, landing on the thigh of the knee that's bent, free arm reaching way past your ear, and breathing. Still aware of the feet and the contact they have with the floor. Send the top hand skyward. If your back feels well, send the bottom arm forward. Get a big long line from one hand to the other and breathe. Just keep your awareness at your feet. Swish the top hand past your face. Bring both hands to land beside the front foot. Turn all your toes to face forward and hold here for 3 breaths. Keeping the head in line with the spine. Keeping some width across the shoulder blades. And bring the back knee down. Put any cushion there that you need. And point the back toes. And notice that feeling of the top of the foot making contact with the floor. Scoot the front toes forward And settle yourself in here for 3 releasing breaths. Walk your hands back as you straighten out the front leg. Find hip bone equality. And we're going to spend a little time here. We're really taking stock of how the shin, calf, and ankle feel as we point the toes for a breath. And flex the foot for a breath. Point the toes again. Flex the foot again. Excellent. Come to hands and knees now. Again, put any cushion that you need to underneath your knees. Position your hands on your shoulders, your knees under your hips. We'll do a couple of cat-cows, just noticing how the spine is feeling at this point in the class. Rounding and a little arching. And following your breath, breathing in as you move one direction. Breathing out as you move the other. What do you become aware of here? So we're going to go into our alternate for down dog, followed by down dog for those who want it. The alternate for down dog is a wonderful stretch for your toe joints. So we're all going to do it together for that reason. So from your hands and knees position, contract your core a little bit and straighten out one leg. Anchor your toes to the mat. So the toes really stick to the floor. And with your toes anchored, now really press your heel away from you. And see what you notice. I get a nice stretch through the calf muscle, and I get that little stretch of the toe joints. Hold there for a breath, and then contract the core again as you bring that back in. Good, and let's do the other side. Remembering if the wrists are giving any trouble here, we can be on fists instead. Take the other leg out, anchor those toes to the mat, press your heel way away from you, giving you that long leg. And compare this leg. How does this one feel compared to the first side? Contract the core and bring them forward. So if you want to do down dog, we'll move to that now. If the down dog is not for you, then repeat what we just did. Those alternates are excellent. And those who want down dogs are curling the toes and taking the hips high. Press those hips far, far back. Spread your fingers wide. And now press one heel at a time towards the floor. Again, getting that beautiful length through the calf muscle. We are going to go from here into pigeon. Lift your right leg up and take a breath. Move your right knee in between your two hands and let your back leg reach way out behind you. Come up onto your fingertips and lengthen your spine with your shoulders low, your heart open. And start to soften as many parts as you can. So let go through your face, your neck, your shoulders. And then we'll really focus on the hips. We're going to breathe into the hip area and out from the hip area, either keeping the head tall or bringing the head down. Or alternately, all of this can be done laying on your back. Push yourself back up to center. Return yourself to hands and knees. And let's take a moment where we look over one shoulder towards one hip. So I'm looking over my left shoulder towards my left hip for a breath. And then the opposite, look over the right shoulder at the right hip. We'll go into downward dog and then into pigeon again. So your choice of the full downward dog or the alternate. Curl your toes, hips high, and push those hips far back. And now see if it's any different to press one heel at a time. That little bicycle movement in downward dog. What do you feel in your body and where do you feel it? And then if you're willing, see if you can press both heels towards the floor at the same time. So the hips are high, you've pushed the hips far back, and you're aiming both hips forward. Just one breath there. And then we'll take the left leg high, or whatever leg you didn't do last time. And bring the left knee in between the two hands. Other leg way out behind you. Coming up onto fingertips. And extending spines. If you were to make more room between each and every vertebra, what would that feel like in your back? And I invite you to direct your breath into your hip area, anywhere, it's a big area, and out from that area as we hold silently for 1 minute. Head can be up or down on the ground. And bring yourself back up out of this position. Good. And let's turn over, lie on your back. We're not quite at Shavasana. We've got a couple more for you. We'll get there. Grab Grab a sip of water on your way. Good. Lying on your back. Let's bring the hands up to cactus position. So the elbows are coming straight out from the shoulders. Hands are at right angles, lying on the floor. Cross the ankle of one leg onto the thigh of the other. And we're going to start to make a little ankle rotation with the foot that's crossed over. See if you can make a circle with that foot, starting to notice those muscles and ligaments, all of the attachment that your ankle does for you. And rock the circle the other way, the direction. And then lift the foot that's still on the floor, comes up off the ground, bringing your knees and your hips towards you. And 3 big breaths here. So all feet are now off the floor. And we'll change sides. Those feet are back down, your knees are still up. Cross the other ankle onto the thigh and start to rotate it. Some big foot circles there. What do you notice? Both the shin, the ankle, the foot. And change directions. You've still got one foot on the floor. It's time to lift it up and hold 3 breaths. Good. Bring both knees into your chest for a moment, and you can hug the knees in and just take that moment to rock along your low back. A little self-massage here. Good. Place the feet back down. So we've got the knees hip width apart, the feet hip width apart, the toes spread, and really a sensation of the toes pressing into the mat, especially your big toe. And to really anchor you in this today, we're going to do a bridge pose only with feet resting on the toes. So here's how that's going to work. Instead of your whole foot touching the floor, you're now lifting your heels. Good. Contract your core. Press your palms into the floor to give you a little bit more pressure and the ability to lift yourself. And with only being on your toes, now lift your tailbone off the ground. And then keep going. The next vertebra and the next vertebra into your usual bridge pose. The only difference is we've kept our heels off the ground. Now, if that makes your legs cramp up, don't do it. Just put your heels back down, do a normal bridge. I'm just seeing how this is for you. If it's okay, then you can then come back down one vertebra at a time. And then bring the heels down to rest them. And if you need to stretch each leg out or shake it out a little bit, go ahead. We're going to do it one more time. So when you're ready, feet hip width, knees hip width. Heels lifted, contract core, lift your tailbone, and then one vertebra at a time comes up. Bring your hips high into bridge pose. And if you're willing, if the legs are okay for it, we're going to drop one hip 1 inch and then squeeze the low back to bring both hips up to full height. Drop the other hip and squeeze. Again, if this causes cramping, bring those heels back down and just do the hip drop that way. And we'll head back to the floor, one vertebra at a time, brings you down. Excellent. And lengthen both legs. Stretch your toes all the way away from you. Point your toes, bring your arms overhead and reach your fingers the opposite direction so that you are as long as you can possibly be. As if someone was pulling on your feet and someone else was pulling on your fingers. Good. Then bring one leg in towards your chest. We're going to interlace the fingers around the hamstring and start to stretch that heel skyward. So first, we're just noticing, how's the leg feeling? I get very tight legs, so I feel this right away. You might be more flexible in your legs, so your foot might be a little bit more over top of your nose. Or maybe your leg is really tight and you prefer to keep the knee a bit bent. So just find what works for you. Once you've found it, we're again going to engage the pointing and flexing. So see how it is to point the toes towards the ceiling for a breath. And flex the foot really well for a breath. And one more of each, pointing, flexing. And bring that leg in and change sides. Interlace your fingers around the other hamstring. Stretch the heels skyward. Find the right position for your leg, your arms, the right amount of straight leg versus bent knee, depending on how tight you feel. And then again, let's point toes to ceiling and breathe. Flex the foot. Pointing. And one last flex. Excellent. Hug both knees into your chest and rock side to side a little bit. Good. And then we're going to rock front to back. So along your spine, rock from tailbone to shoulder. And see if you're able to rock yourself right up to sitting tall today. Now, a couple of options. We're going to do just a few short, more seated poses for the sake of the legs and ankles, the legs. Then we'll end with the Golden Chalice meditation that we have led here, but not for a while. So if you have one of those balls that we talked about, now is the time to see how it feels to put it under one calf. So find the muscle there in your low leg and rest the low leg on top of that ball. If you don't have it, don't worry. You can do this pose without the ball. And then cross the other leg so that the ankle is resting all the way over. There's no pressure on the ankle here. Ankle is resting above the knee. And we're going to sit tall and put a little bit of pressure on this opposite knee with the elbow. And now see how it is to flex the foot and point the toes. And if you do have the ball resting under the calf, here you might do a point and a flex, and then you might reposition the ball a little lower or a little higher to get into a new spot. You get some pretty deep muscle work using these balls. Good. So you're welcome to keep the ball there. We're going to take the leg all the way across and give a hug to the knee. And find both your hips, both your sitting bones in contact with the floor, the back of the neck nice and long. Close your eyes and let's take a long breath in and out. Take the same hand as your knee that is up and reach for the sky. And bring the hand down onto the inside of the foot. Take the free hand we haven't used and wrap it all the way around your body to grab onto your pants or your shirt. And let that anchor you as you engage in twists. So we're breathing in to lengthen the spine as tall as we can get. And breathing out into a gentle twist. 2 more breaths. Each breath in lengthens the spine. Each breath out is a gentle twist. 1 more. Good. Counter twist the other way. Shake out the legs. And if you've got the ball, position it underneath the other calf. Cross the other leg over. Sit up nice and tall. Hinge forward. Put a little bit of weight on the knee. And you have the choice of doing the heel press, lifting the heel up off the ground with a flexed foot. This side is much tighter for me. I can definitely feel it more. So if you've still got the ball, you can reposition it if you wish. And then crossing the leg all the way over. Giving a hug to the knee. And a long breath in and out, feeling your sitting bones on the ground. Take the same hand as the knee that is up and reach for the sky. And take that tall hand onto the inside of your foot. Take the free hand and wrap around behind you until it grabs your pants or your shirt. Breathe in and get tall through your spine. Breathe out into a gentle twist. Breathe in, lengthen, get taller. Breathe out and twist. And 1 more time. And counter twist the other way. And shake out your legs and let go of the ball. Sip of water if you wish. And I recommend, because you're already seated, if you can get comfortable sitting, we'll do the Golden Chalice meditation in a seated position. If that's not right for you today, then of course, lie down. All good. Choose your best spot. And get comfortable. And notice any spots in the body that are still speaking to you. Does anything still feel tight? Or are you aware of any areas that maybe you became aware of during the poses? Is there anything you're able to release? And whether you're sitting or lying down, lengthen your spine. Leave your shoulders low with lots of space between your ears and your shoulders. Take a couple of breaths. How does the air feel entering and exiting? Is there a smoothness to the breath at this point in the class? Or does it still feel choppy or constricted? There's no right or wrong answer. We're just being aware of the breath. As you continue to breathe easily, I invite you to bring awareness to your heart. And imagine the heart chakra, a very big space that includes the heart, the lungs, and the chest cavity. Take a couple of breaths with awareness at the heart chakra. I invite you to picture in your mind's eye your heart like a golden cup. Make sure it is upright. And take a moment to notice this golden cup, golden chalice. What does it look like? What color of gold are you aware of? Are there other colors? What size is it? And what's it made out of? Next, I invite you to imagine all the people that you have loved. All the people you have loved in your whole life long. Picture the warm energy from these images filling your cup. Now imagine all the people who have loved you. Include pets as well. So now we've got the warm energy from all those you have loved and all those have loved you. And that energy is filling your cup. Picture in your mind how many ways you have noticed beauty lately. Perhaps in nature, or in a child's laughter, or through art. Picture all the ways that you have noticed beauty lately. And imagine that the energy of all this beauty is also filling your cup. Next, imagine the spiritual levels of life. Spirit as you understand it for yourself, for those around you, and perhaps even spirit that you don't understand. And picture this divine love coming to you and filling your cup. We've brought beauty inside. Take a couple of breaths, experiencing the inner beauty of the energy filling your cup. And now, take 3 deeper breaths. Start to move a little bit. And we'll close as we always do with our closing sequence. However, I give you one more challenge if you want it. You don't have to want it, but if you want it, if we have opened the ankles up and you know that your ankles are well, you have the option of bringing your foot into your opposite hip crease, into a piece of the lotus position. Now, maybe you can do that with one foot. Some of you are flexible enough, I know because I've seen it, to do it with both feet. But that's not me. I can only do one at a time. If you try that and it feels crazy or painful, then don't do it. Please just sit any way that's comfortable for you instead. Find your right position. Take your thumb into your hand and inhale and raise. 2 breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Sadie's come to join us for this closing. Hands together, 2 breaths. Extend and bring hands down behind or in front. Full extension, breathing in. Slow hands to heart, breathing out. Hands at your beautiful heart. Namaste. Thank you. The one we didn't have time for is using the towel. I'm just going to show it to you quickly in case you want to do it. If you did grab a little dish towel, the final way that you can stretch is to place your heel on one end of that dish towel and then use your hands to pull on the opposite end, giving a stretch across the bottom of the foot and into the toe joints. So hold that for 3 breaths on one side and 3 on the other if you have the time tonight. And otherwise, see you Sunday.